My name is Awiti Omollo, and I am a counseling psychologist, especially dealing with addiction, and I work currently for Serene Rehabilitation and Treatment Center as a counselor in the Department of Clinical Services. In 1993, I was employed and deployed to work in Mombasa by my employer. The turning point came very, very painfully. First of all, I had lost many jobs and good jobs. Not losing this job simply because I was a non-performer. Either I was having some behaviors like stealing that could not make me sustain or retain my job. But it was more of my alcoholism making me not able to function the way I should function. An example where you have an appointment, you have a task to perform, but I find myself in the morning, I cannot go to work, and excuses have to be made on my behalf that for one reason or the other I cannot make it. I'm either sick or I'm either taking care of children or something like that. So it had a big toll in terms of my work, sackings. Secondly, it had a lot of damages in the line of relationships, in terms of family relationship. No time for children, no time for your spouse, and actually even interpersonal relationship with your workmates. I had a lot of issues with my workmates, especially my boss, who was not happy with the trend that I was taking. Then it reached a point where I could not hold a job, especially after being sacked from Sudan. Somewhere I used to work in some place called Awil, the last sacking. And I came home, stayed at home, tried to hide it. But strange enough, in my pocket there was the sacking letter. I'd hidden it not to be seen by my wife, especially the wife and my children. So the job was, we worked for 6 weeks, come out for 2 weeks. So when I came back, they thought that I came back for 2 weeks, but I ended up staying longer. I didn't know that already she had seen the letter, because it was in my pocket, and when they were washing, they saw it. Because I was actually continuing to drink when I was here, so I did not remember that. So I stayed at home, no work, not going back to my place of work. Eventually, my wife told me, no, I know you have a problem here, but you don't want to admit. So I continued with the little money I had, drank myself. Then it became hard for them to hold, and also it became hard for me to be kukusomea. They make a lot of noise for you, you are doing wrong, you are doing that. Then I decided to move out of Nairobi briefly, went to Kisumu, where I was born, stayed there, continued with my habit. Then my wife and the church. The main turning point when my wife came to Kisumu, said that you are not dying here, you will not die here, and we are going back to Nairobi. So we came back to Nairobi, tried so many things, took me to a 5-star hotel in Mombasa for rehabilitation purposes, became a nice guy. I didn't drink for that month I was in Mombasa. Then I came back to Nairobi. I hit the road again. Now it was too much. They had to engage another group of people. So where did she go to? She went to the church. and the church, through the pastor, intervened. And one of these pastors just told me, Omollo, the way you are going, you will not make it in life. And we are not prepared to see you dead. We are not prepared at all to bury you now. So what we are going to do, if you allow us, we'll take you somewhere just to see this place. And if it is okay for you, you stay there. If it is not okay for you, you can also leave, and then you chart your way. So they took me to a rehabilitation facility where I was told that I was going to be there for 2 years. So I asked myself that, okay, for 2 years in a rehabilitation facility, but I respected men of God. I come from a background where we respected church. My family background, my mom was a prayer warrior, and my mother-in-law was also a prayer warrior. So I agreed to go to the rehab. Reaching there, they told me I'll take 1 year, which can be added to another year. So I went on a Friday, and I decided that, okay, fine, Saturday will be my first year. Then Sunday will be my second year. Then Monday I will leave the program. So I decided I'm not going to stay in that program. I just wanted this man of God to get her off my neck by taking me to rehab. Then I live my life the way I used to live it before. But something happened to me that I cannot explain. My life turned around, and I ended up staying in that rehab for 1 year. And that is how I regained my sobriety. Not at all. I was enjoying myself. I was really enjoying myself, and the nature of addiction is strange. Everybody else is seeing that you are in trouble. Your family, your employer, the community, society at large seeing you are in trouble. But according to you, when they tell you even now that, the actions, your actions alone, shows that you are having a problem with addiction. But to me, I was seeing them as the people who were having problems. The problem was not about me. So the disease of addiction will try as much as possible to make you think that you are doing the right thing while you are doing the wrong thing, because your brain has been destroyed to an extent that you cannot think rationally the way you should be thinking when you are not in addiction, when you have not taken your drug of choice. So my behavior to me was right. I was not behaving in any strange way, and that is why it took me too long, almost 20 years, to enter into a recovery program. Yes, many people try to intervene. If I'll start with my immediate family. That is the wife. I really cried many times. I come home late, drunk. At times, you are being called. I have caused an accident, which I was causing quite frequently. And she intervened several times. Then from my bigger community, in our culture, the addiction issue is taken not to be a disease per se. It is taken to be either a moral failure, or purely they will say this is a spiritual matter. They took me to people who can pray for me, and some people came home, some I went to their places for prayers. But I was looking at these people and asking myself, I came from a prayerful family, and I know with addiction those things don't work. Laying of hands could not work on me at all. So immediately I come from where they took me for either prayers or for those things that look like almost sorcery, the next stop, that is most likely the shopping center, the next shopping center, I will come out of the car, pretend to be okay, I'm now not into that. Then I'll take a drink I want and I drink the way I want. So they had no effect on me, but they really tried because they were looking at the trend and they are saying this person is going in the wrong direction. We love him. But he seems not to be seeing that he's going to die. And he's also a sole breadwinner to many of us. But it didn't work. They intervened, but it didn't work at that point. Until this time, my wife and the pastor came into the picture. Before 1930s, where scientists took a lot of interest in finding out why some people can be addicted, others are not addicted, and what is this addiction all about? Can it be a disease or not? People are thinking that people can become addicted because of either your character is flawed, you are not strong enough, or some moral issues with you that are making you to be an addict. When you take alcohol, there is an issue with character, an issue with morals and all that. But after 1930s, with the scientific discoveries, addiction was found to be a disease. And they defined addiction as a chronic, relapsing brain disease with compulsive nature. It is a chronic disease because you cannot cure addiction, but you can treat it. Secondly, it is it is a chronic disease like any other chronic diseases like diabetes, which can be managed, but you cannot treat the addiction. Then it is a relapsing brain disease because you see that somebody can be in recovery for more than maybe 20 or so years. But the disease is just like it is in remission. It is just waiting for you to touch it again and it comes back the way it was and even higher than the way it was. Then it is also a compulsive disease because sometimes you don't even want to take it. But you find yourself maybe in the morning before you even go to work, you end up taking your drug of choice. If it is alcohol, you take a glass or two. And you know very well the consequences are dire. How can you take alcohol in the morning and you are going to report to work? How do you take alcohol in the morning and you know very well you are going to drive, or even in the afternoon or in the evening? So there is some compulsion that you cannot explain with the disease of addiction. So that is one reason why we say that addiction is a chronic disease. It has all signs and symptoms of a disease. Like if, let's say, when you catch cold, there are some symptoms you experience with the cold. And also, when you are addicted, there are symptoms that we can see. We can see you craving, we can see you withdrawing, and many other signs that come with addiction. This can be biological in terms of the immune system, or it can be due to genetic or predisposition. Addiction, like any other disease, can be genetically transferred from one person to the other, especially, let's say, if the lineage of the family had the issues with addiction. One, the possibility of a member of that household becoming addicted is higher than that household that don't do addiction. Sometimes the environmental factors come in that can also contribute to somebody being addicted. Like when you have a very chaotic family, chaotic home, school environment, where you are going to a school where the drugs are available all the time, and many other reasons. But majorly, it is the genetical factor of an individual, the environmental factors. And in the genetical factor, you cannot tell that you are genetically predisposed or not. So you can start taking addiction, you can start taking your drugs of choice, thinking that you'll be like any other person who has taken drugs for many years. We have seen people who have taken alcohol for years. They don't get addicted, they function well. But you, if you take, like my case, when I hold a bottle of whiskey or whatever alcohol I'm taking, I'll not put it down until that time I feel that I'm fully drunk, and I'll continue that until the money gets finished from my pocket. So we are two different people, with the person who is not genetically predisposed. And the environment, let's say I'm in that environment, I was saying the war situation, that's a very different environment. There are so many stressors that can push me into addiction, more than the person who is going to work in a place with, without most of these stressors.